chance of making it into that grand final.
And the thing is, they both tasted defeat from the same team, and that's UC Pink. We've got
Yeah.
both teams are itching for a chance to, right the wrongs of the past up against those guys. But only one can, obviously, so we'll see who that's going to be. Skarner E, a whole lot of jungle bans going on here, and the Thresh. Likely that's a ONU liked pick, and they're banning the Rel, which makes a lot of sense because Rel's been in pretty much every single one of the games we've casted so far, Diadem.
Yep, definitely. I mean, Rel's been in every single one, but you know who also has been in every single one because Rel's been in every single one? Alistar. Thank you, Alistar. Appreciate you. And the success rate of Alistar has been huge, especially in these games. So, gotta see how Ohio State University wants to play this. I will say, just in general, we've had a lot of success on the red side, with the outlier being the very last match of that last streamed game. But ONU immediately starting it off with the J4. Just picking the lockdown instantly. I know this is a pretty common, J4 being one of the strongest junglers in meta right now, especially in competitive matches, and it forces Ohio State to kind of draft around it. So change it up a little bit, make your picks. You can't pick really immobile anymore unless you want to just kind of, thug it out. So I'm excited to
Now,
see.
you know what I think would be good is if they all try to take a bunch of dashes, just because you get the only way to get out of J4's ult is to dash or to flash.
Yep.
Say you follow it up with a character who is normally banned but isn't, like Vex, and so
Yeah.
yeah, that could be an interesting one if especially if we see another champ with a dash being shown here. Like Zeri's already got some dashes and stuff, but if
Yep.
they go for someone like, say, I don't know, Alistar or Rakan especially, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I think a big pick here for Ohio Northern. I don't know if their mid laner picks it, but the Vex is huge, but also the Talia is disgusting in this
True.
comp right now. You have the Talia. Ohio Northern also might be able to look for the Braum. Braum being a huge kind of pick, but Rakan making it a little bit rough for him, right? But it's one of those where Rakan jumps in and Braum just immediately starts auto attacking. You get that passive proc going, and Caitlyn with the range as well. All right, Ohio Northern electing to try and just take a bit of prio in this bot lane. It looks like Caitlyn being recently in this patch more of a feast or famine ADC, to where if you get ahead, she's really great at snowballing, but if she gets behind, it becomes really rough for her to try and find herself in these fights. Going with the Nautilus, okay, yeah, you had the Rakan counter already up and ready to go, so makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And so I know that OSU's mid laner has a couple of interesting picks that he likes to pull out. We've seen him play Gragas, we've seen him play Yone, we've seen him play Smolder. And so I'm wondering what other champions he's going to be pulling out here. A thing that have been noticing about OSU is that normally they have him pick first, but they haven't done that this time, which I think
Yeah.
is a good decision here, so that he doesn't just get flat out counterpicked by a Lissandra, by a Nico, or something like that. That's been an issue for OSU for pretty much the entirety of the night. I'm glad to see that they're changing it up a bit.
Yeah. No, seriously, I am so happy because watching OSU draft right now, one thing they haven't done is they have not drafted a flex and they have not drafted a solo laner. Right. And those were the two issues that they ran into last draft. You really just don't have the space for it. So, although you do have to blind either top or mid here, you're guaranteeing yourself at least one great pick, right? You got the
Mhm.
counter jungle, you get the counter in another side of your map, and you get to prioritize who gets that counter, especially because there's so many flexible mid picks that can be blinded here. I think it puts your top laner in a really great situation who has been struggling a bit recently in these last couple matches.
Ooh, it looks like they're a little bit concerned about ONU's top laner. And
Yep.
so this does leave the Vex open, possibly if that's in ONU's arsenal. If they do want to go for Vex, the fact that they're banning Yone makes me think maybe that they're not doing that because Vex would literally be a perfect counter to Yone. But
Yeah.
yeah, we will see. We'll see.
Yeah, I think Ohio State might just opt to they might pick their top here because they threw two top bans and got a third top ban as well. So they might have just been protection banning so that they could blind something here.
True.
Yeah, there's the Gnar. I was about to say, I'm like, you ban the you protection ban for the Aatrox and the GP. GP probably being just one of the stronger picks for the ONU top laner. Um, and now you slam a top laner, right? Poppy being a bit weird into this comp. I like that you can't run away with Caitlyn. You can't really engage with Nautilus. J4's dash also being blocked. Um, for all bot side, but you have to be worried about blinding Poppy top, right? That's what I've always been told is that Poppy is great as a flex and a great as like a support in an early pick when you have these kind of drafts, but the issue with her top lane is that she gets counterpicked pretty hard. So you protection ban it out, you blind it, and they're gonna go with the Ornn. We've seen ONU take this tank top side, right? Pretty successful in the back, anyways. So they have to blind this mid, and we'll see what they want to go for here.
Honestly, I think that they could go for that is not what I was about to say, is Echo. But could work.
Okay,
Azir is not a bad blind pick, to be
yeah,
totally honest with you. Neither is
Talia,
Talia,
yep,
especially
yeah, there it
considering that they've
is.
got so
I
many
was about
dashes,
to
like we were
say,
saying. Yeah, yeah. And
great
so we
pick,
were
yeah,
theorizing because like Poppy's got a dash, Shyvana's got a dash, Rakan's got a dash, Zeri's got a dash. And so Talia is pretty good just on her face up against those people. And there aren't really too many people that just hard crush her other than Zed. And I was about to say LeBlanc or Echo or someone like that. People that like have mobility without dashes. And so we'll
yeah.
see what Ohio State decides to go for. It looks like Aurora.
Technically, LeBlanc's W1 does get stunned by Talia, but
Yeah.
her W2 doesn't, right? So her recast doesn't. But yeah, I think Talia was a huge pick for this ONU comp because the biggest issue you run into is people dashing out of engage, right? So as long as you stick that Talia with that J4, J4 ult now works as if it was a stun. Right, because you throw it underneath, you J4 ult, they're either stuck in there and they have to play around kind of the spacing in the little pit, or they try to dash out and they get stunned from the Talia E and they stay in the pit, right? Our team loves doing that a ton. This is one of like the comps that we kind of run. It's definitely really familiar and into a heavy dash comp like you have the Zeri Rakan. Poppy, even to an extent, right, with her E counts as a dash. Um, it is very nice.
Yeah, and Aurora's got a couple of dashes herself as well, so she's got to approach this lane very, very carefully for OSU. I mean, the lockdown potential here for Aurora is pretty nice. And like she does have like some good counterplay to the J4 ultimate with a her own ultimate being able to get out, but
Yep.
it really
I
does depend. I still think that ONU's comp is a lot stronger for the combination of J4 and Talia, like you said.
Yeah, I think honestly, for the first time today, specifically when I've been drafting, this is the first comp that I can genuinely 100% say this could go either way. I really like the drafts from these two teams. I think that this is the most competitive draft we've had because not only do you pick a Zeri Rakan, right, which you know is very mobile in the J4, you have the Kate Knot, which is a great counter into Rakan. Caitlyn is very, feast or famine early, so you want to play with that counter pick. But then you get an extremely strong jungler on the back end. You get Shyvana. And then Poppy rounds out the team comp really well, allows them to team fight a lot more cohesively, adds a bit of disruption to their team in the CC and frontline they needed. But then Ohio Northern fixes out their earlier craft comp with their Talia, with their Ornn pick, adding a bit more tankiness. And Ohio State finishes it up with one of the most flexible mid laners in the game with Aurora, right? With
Mhm.
has so many different angles. I can genuinely, I'm actually really excited to see about this first game because this is the most even draft I've seen today.
Honestly, same. It's I couldn't I even if you put like a gun to my head and said pick a team to win, I would probably just have you kill me because like I couldn't do it. Like it's like Shyvana is just such a powerful jungler in the current patch, and she can just like blow people up in and of her own right. But you've
Yep,
got people like Talia, like Orin, like Nautilus that can just backhand her away and stuff like that. You've got
yep,
Rakan who can just stun up the entire enemy team. You've got counters for that. It just really comes down to like how well these people play together. How well can they execute? How well are they at pushing lanes and not needing to be, have their attention drawn elsewhere before they're able to go into a team fight? So I think that's
yeah.
going to be one of the major things going on to this is who can just have better tempo in the side lanes so that they can, get the better opportunity to make a 5 versus 4, 5 versus 5 team fight.
I completely agree. Genuinely, picks are going to be so huge, especially for this ONU side. Just getting any numbers at disadvantage because every part to these teams is pretty integral to their team fight, right? Like you need, no matter what, each person on this side for a lot of disruption, a lot of their engage. It doesn't feel like a lot of them are purely built for side laning. So in these fights, if ONU can find any kind of picks with the J4 Talia, or if Ohio State finds somebody with the Rakan, even with the Poppy E to the wall, I think that it's going to be, or excuse me, it's going to spell danger for a lot of these teams.
Right. I mean, we can theory craft all we want about these super duper interesting and even comps, but I think it's better just to see how it actually plays out. And ladies and gentlemen, we will indeed see how this all plays out right after this break. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Summoner's Rift. It is Ohio Northern University versus Ohio State University, and we've got a flash already.
Hey, we are going strong immediately. 5-man down mid lane, got the flash from Nautilus, looking for the Aurora, not going to be able to find it, and they're just going to return to their 5-point.
Wow, that is not how I was expecting this game to start. Is with a flash, but
yeah, I like it. And they're immediately gonna get walked down. Nautilus doesn't have that flash. They return to the 5-point. But yeah, sometimes from my days at support, you would walk down mid lane and you just tell everyone you were like, first person I see, I am flashing. I am flashing right now, and you are going to follow. So I like the decision making coming out of ONU already straight from the get go.
Yeah, well, it shows that at least they can formulate a plan and then, be all on the same page on something. Execution, a little bit to be desired. However, I mean, they got Aurora's flash out already, which is pretty great, so I'd say worth. But, ooh, that damage.
Yeah. I mean, Aurora Flash early is really nice because what that sets up J4 now is he can look for a 3 camp and then walk to that topside river and just look around with Talia. Talia is gonna be level 2 by that time. You start queuing your W, and then you have J4, you throw down the E for the slow, makes J4 hit it, and you don't have a flash out of that situation anymore. So I think if you time your pathing pretty well here, you can hit, but it looks like Nautilus is going to land the first hook of this game. Hitting Zeri, getting a bit of a trade, Caitlyn being able to trade that Q, but overall, pretty even shot. Has the headshot, lands it on the Rakan.
Yep, looking pretty even, especially compared to some of these other things so far. Poppy already getting this level 2, and Orin not respecting it, getting incredibly chunked down, and Poppy is going to be proxying him off the wave and off of a lot of XP, delaying his level 2 even further, making him lose a lot of CS. This is really exactly what you want to be doing as Poppy, but unfortunately for her, Orin gets close enough for a level 2, and now does a little bit of good trading back onto her.
Yeah, so one funny thing that I don't think ONU was thinking about was that Poppy W can stop Orin's recast on his ult. Yeah, here's the level 3 instantly. Don't have to flash. There's the pop on the E as well. I got my magic ball today, and it looks like the first blood is going to Talia. Immediately going to pick up a bit of prio on this lane.
Yeah, that's a really great shot call coming out from Pop, Perks, and Kato there. Seeing that, oh, she doesn't have flash? Let's go in. 3 camp, killer. Already a good start coming in here from the Talia. And we said that Talia is going to be one of their more consistent scalers, as we said. Someone that, you said that Caitlyn, as I agree, is feast or famine. But Talia, it can really scale a little bit more consistently. And especially now that she has that kill, I think Talia is going to be someone you have to watch out for from ONU.
Yeah, definitely. Somebody that, especially once you hit level 6, has a really easy time with spreading that lead right to bot lane, just being able to ult and taking a huge trade there. I don't think they know Shyvana is in the area. You have to be careful. You have no mana. Going to force the flash out as well. And now, although Aurora did just get back to lane, you are extremely low health now.
Yeah, I think that Kato is realizing that Shyvana was probably there, and that's probably also why he did the flash out, is because in his mind, as a mid laner, I can tell you, there's no way. Oh, Orin in a little bit of trouble here. Miller going to be hitting him with those empowered autos, and it might be a kill. Poppy going in, and he even tanks it for him as well. Well executed dive there.
Yeah, I think you just can't step up there.
What? Talia!
Tower. Well, I blinked and I missed it. Talia went for the trade under tower, but just overstepped it a little bit. A quick trade from S-Fire, and that's going to be a kill right back to this mid laner, and we're back even again.
Yeah, Talia hit with one of the rocks, and then Fire just jumped on out of the way of the other ones, and improperly guessing the distance of the turret dies from it. That's a little bit of a I hate to say it, but that's a little bit of a throw, but definitely something you
Yeah.
can still recover from.
No, it happens, right? Throwing, nobody is immune to throwing a bit of a lead, right? But you are very early in this game. It's not like you were super down already. You're still even. Your team is still even on gold, so no big deal. You just reset, mental reset, and keep rocking.
Yep, that's all you can do is just keep on rocking. As pretty good wave state for Poppy here. Orin's gonna try and deliver this, but yeah, Shyvana's not really gonna be in the area for a gank, but yeah, still pretty good for Poppy. She can definitely get a freeze going on here. That's pretty much what they're fighting over here right now. Orin trying to prevent it, but Poppy is trying to get it going here, and she does manage to get it. So Orin in a little bit of a rough spot here potentially. Or no?
Yeah, Ornn. This matchup feels pretty bad for him, at least early on before you start getting a couple of items, because Poppy just kind of shuts down a lot of your combo, right? Especially with your E and Q. Her damage is just really high, but immediately the engage as well. Shyvana coming in from the side, hits level 6, a really nice flip, gonna force the flash out of Aurora, looking for the Q, not gonna be able to hit the Q, forcing the flash out of Shyvana. They're gonna pick up the kill. Or excuse me, it was flash out of Shyvana and flash out of Aurora there. Aurora gets the assist. Shyvana picks up the kill, but they do lose Dragon for it. Sorry, information overload coming here.
Yeah,
trying to figure out what cooldowns we got.
Yeah, something to note earlier is that they got her flash it around like before the first minute of the game. It being at the 6-minute mark now, that's after when they should have known that her flash was back up. But Orin coming in with the call to Forge God, but perfect cancel from Poppy.
You can't do it. You just can't ult into Poppy's face anymore. He just what's it called? He beat forward and he counterpicked himself. It's a bit unlucky.
Interesting. Did they have vision on Shyvana coming up here, or I think that Talia's at least checking for him. Maybe going for a little bit of an ult of her own. She does have the Weaver's Wall up and does have vision on her now. Can totally go for the get on her now. Should be able to drop that E and then the W. That should be definitely a kill onto the Poppy from Orin, it looks like.
Hey, that's actually really good for Ornn. You get him a kill back. He's even in the CS as well. He's going to be able to push this. Poppy no TP, which means he has free plates to hit, and that is a huge play in rotation. Looks like Pop Perks on the bot side was looking to trade. The hook in from Tango hits, but Shyvana buffers it with the ult. Going to hit a 2-man ult, flash over the wall, get the E to try and get out, but not going to be able to move. 51-50, scores his first kill of this game.
Yeah, and there's not really much Kate and J4 can do in this scenario other than just sit back and let the wave be pushed into them. And oh, it looks like Orin somehow, some way did not get his back off, and he's gonna get punished for the overstay immensely. This Poppy just goes in, hits him with one dash and Q, and kills him.
Yeah, I know if you're Talia right now, you're just looking at that top lane and you just sigh. You're just, I tried. I tried my best.
I relate, honestly.
It happens, you know. You gotta win some to lose some, right? So obviously gotta take a couple of trades here. This game been pretty back and forth, right? Still pretty even across the board. All grubs going to Ohio State, but First Dragon going to ONU. So obviously trading top side, bot side objectives. So still anyone's game at this time.
Yep, it's the only lane with like a distinct. I don't know. I feel like still looking pretty good for Ohio State University because they've got the lead on the 5150, who is their typical carry, and so I'm feeling pretty good about that. It is sort of matched up by the fact that Caitlyn has a lot more CS in her and has the BF sword, so I don't think that 5150 actually wins in a fight here, in a head-on fight, without anyone else like Shyvana being there.
So I like that they put 5150 on a hyper carry, because obviously the most success that we've seen is 5150 being on that Jinx, right? And Kai'Sa's a great pick, but it's been hard because they haven't been really able to play around that Kai'Sa these last couple of games. So seeing him on the Zeri, seeing him on a hyper carry like that is great, but the downside is that it is Zeri in the 14-19 patch, who is really not having a good time. She kind of got hit on all her items. She does have lethal tempo back, which is really nice, but otherwise, you cannot fight this Caitlyn early like you were talking about.
Yeah. And J4 is going to be in the area too here as well. As yeah, the Grubs are going to be up in a little bit of a minute. So Shyvana going to look to see if Talia will do anything crazy and weird. Otherwise, just going to be going for a little bit of a reset here.
Yep. Looks to just get off the map, be able to reset yourself. A big thing that we don't talk about, that's important, especially with these timings, never mind, is we have a hook in the bot lane. Won't turn into much, but no. A thing that we talk about that should be a little bit more of like emphasized is kind of when they're backing and who's backing together. A big part of especially like competitive play and rotations, and one thing that we've seen UC Pink do extremely well today is they back together. Their jungle mid would back, their ADC bot would back, and it puts them on not only roam timers, but it puts them on objective timers. And we're seeing here, right, you have to delay the back on Talia, and now the jungle is going to be up before that. You have bot lane, you have top lane trying to back, you have to TP now to force it, and that kind of delay is just enough that Void Grubs are going to be hit off spawn now by Shyvana. So that kind of timing and being able to back together is just so important for these competitive teams.
And J4 is trying to go for a little bit of a lane gank here, it looks like, but they've got a ward in the close bush, so he should be spotty standing literally right on it and doesn't even know it. Is definitely going to know it by the fact that they're just sitting under their tower now. But yeah, a little bit of time wasted for J4, unfortunately, but is still going to be having prio for the dragon. Unfortunately, didn't get the kill, but it's still fine. Oh, but Talia should be able to roam here. Shyvana's in a little bit of an interesting position.
Oh, does get the flash out of Talia before this fight, which is huge, but you don't have Shyvana ult anymore, at least to start this fight, and it looks like you just can't really contest it unless they go for a fight. A flash over the wall, and the Rakan E immediately hits. He stuns himself back on the Talia E, but here comes the Aurora as well. First person to fall is Nautilus. The dragon goes to ONU, excuse me. And now you're still working with ults. That's a lot of damage chunked. You had the Caitlyn ult hit out, but it's not going to finish off a kill. Only person left is J4 kind of walking into this jungle, and it's really hard to contest them here. Shyvana might be able to turn this. They don't know they have Zeri over the wall still. Yep, there's the shot. They're still going to try and engage this. He just jumps over and hits Zeri from the behind, but it's not going to be enough. Miller takes up the kill. Shyvana picks up one, and Caitlyn is forced to back up. Now, a really, really good play for OSU.
Yeah, as soon as I saw the J4 walking in and the rest of the team not quite following up so much, I was a little bit concerned, just like I'm concerned for this Orin right now, but it looks like he's got the Call of the Forge God up here. He's going to look to turn things around a little bit, at least clear the wave, prevent him from getting plates. Doesn't really have TP, so Poppy will still be able to get the wave in a pretty good state. But yeah, I feel like that was just a little bit too much from the J4. You saw that the rest of his team was backing off, like the Nautilus, like the Talia, and the rest of Ohio State had not backed off just yet. And oh, in comes the Shyvana looking to get a blob up onto the Talia, but everything is missing. Nautilus hooking the wall, and Talia desperately trying to get out, but getting autoed and walked down. Nautilus might be getting dived here as well. The wave is here, and so is the... He hooks himself back in!
I don't think they have the damage for it, but... Especially with that tower damage stacking. Oh, okay, there we go. Final snipe.
Yeah.
This is League. We walked in, we flashed away, we missed like 3 skill shots, and then we just autoed everybody to death. This is League of Legends. This is how we play. No, we've had some great fights. Obviously, not really showing off the best there between the teams, but still a really good like gank timing and gank engage, at least coming from the mid lane. So hopefully, this Shyvana starting to get really ahead now, being 4-0 and up on farm. Definitely needs to start dragon stacking, because I think J4, knowing that you're playing into the Shyvana, kind of made the decision that he's okay sacking a bit top, especially when you have Ornn, so that they can prioritize Shyvana dragon stacking early, right? Making sure she doesn't get that extra stat from her passive. But now Shyvana is 4-0, and you really can't contest her on these drags anymore.
Yeah, she's already got the Spear Shojin, and halfway towards her Leandry's being done. It's starting to look a little bit dire in terms of that, and here she comes. Doesn't realize that they're on a ward, but maybe not, doesn't matter. Is going to be coming on in. The quickness and the skill shots charmed up. Caitlyn trying desperately to back away towards her tower. J4 now trying to join the party and get a little bit of a turnaround, and it looks like Rakan should be able to get out of here. Shyvana now taking the front line here, and Zeri just still being able to free shot onto these guys. Does arrive towards the tower, but it looks like things are just about over. And Shyvana's ult does run out, so I think that is indeed the end of the fight.
Yeah. Really nice poppy buffer up there from the top, but no, we're seeing kind of the usefulness of having lethal tempo as compared to that fleet footwork in that fight, because that extra on-hit damage that the new reworked lethal tempo was given was just chipping away at this team. They're slowly going to be able to walk it, although you did lose Rakan. Rakan already half health, just healing up a little bit. There's the hook over the wall, and J4 is back again, looking for the ult from Caitlyn, trying to finish it off, and J4 is going to be able to pick up that kill off the end.
And he didn't even need to use his ult, which is
Yep.
the best part there for him. Kill without using ult onto Zeri means that he can get a good reset, go for a little bit of a contention towards the top side, but it looks like Shyvana and Aurora are going to use their prio in order to go for an invade. They know that this is likely where he's going to go next, and they're trying to use her ahead in this to put down a control ward and take away all of his stuff.
Yeah, definitely. It works out super well too, because you don't have a mid turret anymore, right? So you can
Right.
kind of just walk in for free. You know that Kato might be stepping up a little too far here as Shyvana goes, but it looks like they're going to just try and clear up top, because top tier 1 doesn't exist either. ONU definitely just been put on the back foot so far, and the gold lead extending to around 4K.
Yeah, and I love how Miller is just getting involved pretty much everywhere. He's ahead, the most ahead person on the team, and he is pretty much going around to all the lanes, just making the rounds, trying to spread the lead out as much as he possibly can, and is making it really hard for J4 to catch up, making it very hard for Orin to try and get any gold from taking the tower or anything like that, making it hard for Orin to split. In fact, I'm sorry, to group up for the dragon coming up here as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think a big thing too is got to give credit to the laners right now for enabling Miller to kind of play like this, because he has been popping off in these last couple of games, right? If you check the stats for the last, even the losses that they've had, his KP has always been high. As there's an Aurora ult immediately as the engage goes off. ONU jumps in, the charm from Rakan. Rakan gets pulled back in though. They might be able to turn this. That's 1 kill going to ONU. ONU now getting the call of the Forge God, hitting in. Poppy jumps in, pops the W. Gonna have to flash over the wall, and a great flick from Kato finds the double kill there. Shyvana jumps in the back, though. A ton of damage, but the stun is too much. A triple kill for J4. Still working out. Zeri going really low in the back right now. The dash in and the flick, and Kato finishes off an amazing team fight for ONU. When I said it was impossible to contest these drags, they turned it around on me. I'll eat my words. They took it.
Yeah, I think one of the major things there was the fact that Talia was able to CC the Aurora and the Zeri there for so long, dude. Like if you saw that, she got the E down on them and she stunned them both. So, and she was able to quickly follow up on getting the Aurora. She W'd them over the top of the rest of people like Shyvana and Poppy and Rakan, the people that would normally be trying to peel for her. And she was just tanking all the damage, like face tanking it at that point. So, yeah, ONU on the other hand did a really good job of defending Caitlyn. Did not die that entire fight. Was just able to go in, auto weave every once in a while, and Ohio State was very, very focused on killing the Caitlyn, which they never were able to get.
Yep, definitely. I think if OSU wants to take those kind of fights, they can't group up as much like that anymore, because, like you said, that Talia just had so much use in that fight. It was so nice, but we see an immediate engage as well from Rakan, just jumping in. Not going to find anything, but just clearing up a bit of space. And this game has pretty much swung in, is swung not only in gold, down by 2K, but it has also swung just in momentum in general, because Aurora's going to be hitting this bot side turret, still trying to just get this gold up, but you have a group around mid. If you want to look for a fight, it might be a little bit rough because you are still on CDs, but Aurora ulting under the tower, gets knocked up though off the wall, and still gets the kill on Orn. A really nice dive from Fire.
Yep, and should be able to finish the turret as a result of that while everyone else is doing things around the map. Does require some attention to be given from Talia or someone else, and that pretty much gives Ohio State free reign to get this Rift Herald and use it at their leisure.
Yeah, for sure. We see Talia jump down to the bot lane as well. You have to be careful. Talia and Aurora just jumping around. Aurora taking it back. Obviously being half health, Talia was just trying to get something for her greeting that tower, but it looks like it just won't pop off. Trying to trade back this way.
Yeah. So, yeah, unfortunately ult not going to be super worth in terms of getting a kill there, but yeah, while that may have been a little bit of a rough fight in the Dragon Pit for Ohio State, and it did not result in them getting the Dragon either, for Shyvana's stacks, which is, again, another good thing that ONU is doing a really good job of. It's still, they're still in a pretty good spot tempo-wise. They're able to get these turrets here and there. They're forcing ONU to not be able to group very well without losing anything. So that is one of the things that I said was going to be the key to victory in the beginning, is who can force their opponents to split up from the team fights more. And so far, I still think that OSU has been doing a better job of that.
Yeah, definitely. And as this Baron first spawns up, we're gonna have to see what teams want to prior around, because obviously ONU is on Soul Point, which is best case scenario for them, especially in a game where they are down by goal lead. There's the Shyvana ult over the middle. They might be looking for a little bit of an engage, but Nautilus just hooks right back. Can't really find much, just looking to poke with the E. But you're at a great spot for ONU, to where obviously OSU wants early Baron, right? They want first Baron, but you really can't trade Soul, especially Ocean Soul, right? On Shyvana, it's kind of tough. So even though you're behind, you still have a bit of dictatorship in this game. You have a bit of a say, because you can still choose to, hey, we are either going to fight you on the Soul, or we are going to trade Baron for it, right? You will either take this fight or you won't. And there's a great flip as well. Poppy just staying up a little bit too far. The knockup not going to be enough. Kato going to find a solo kill on this side lane, which is pretty big for ONU, freeing up a little bit of pressure on this top side.
Yeah, and Shyvana trying to get some of the camps from the jungle, but not even being able to do that. It's just a complete benefit there for ONU. They're able to prevent Shyvana from getting any gold, while they are able to shut down the Poppy and get a whole bunch of waves of their own. So it's a good little bit of turn of play there for ONU. Does sort of mess with the tempo of Ohio State, and with this dragon coming up, they're going to be able to come into it with all their ults except for Caitlyn, and off of a pretty good back and buy from the Poppy kill.
Yeah, and now you have a couple of just grouped up mid. It looks like they're just going to be 5-manning this mid. Usually what you see is just you 5-man mid to try and crack this tower, and then you can walk through bot side river, right, to this dragon, just to make sure you have it, because this is just really, really good for pressure. But Shyvana is not going to let that happen. We have a snap engage coming in. Aurora ult, Shyvana ult, and Rakan ult all jump down. Call of the Forge God's going to knock up, but it's not going to be enough. First kill, Nautilus drops. They are going to be able to trade Nautilus for Aurora. You still have a 4v4 even team fight, but a lot of damage went down. Caitlyn scraping out just in time. J4, same situation. They're going to give up on the J4. J4 is just going to be able to walk back, because they just want pressure on this dragon. That was the end goal of their team fight, and they got it. Shyvana is going to start up this dragon now with Zeri.
Yep, and now I want to point this out again. They all went for the Caitlyn, but Kai is doing a really good job of just being incredibly slippery. He took a lot of attention. All the ults went onto him, and somehow he lived. Unfortunately, the rest of the ONU team was not able to apply damage in a meaningful way while this was going on. And looks like they're going for a little bit of something here, but Poppy plays it very well and should be able to survive now. Orin might be getting a little bit.
Trying to auto the turret. He's just trying to auto the turret. He autoed it once, but didn't break. But it finally drops with the wave moving. I like the idea.
Yeah,
I like what you were going for.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, just this Caitlyn is just so stinking slippery, dude. If Talia had been there at the start of the fight, I honestly think that ONU probably would have won it, but obviously back timers and things like that just goes to show that even though this Caitlyn's got like no kills, she also has no deaths, and she's been distracting a lot of attention.
It's definitely been pulling for OSU, just trying to get this kill, and they can't ever find it. But they have to be really, really careful now, because the team comp isn't really built for getting picks like that. Right? Like, you have Shyvana, you have Poppy, you have Aurora, who are great for kind of isolating these team fights and zoning them out. And you see here, Nautilus stepping up a little bit too far, does get the hook. There's the ult as well, buffered for the Shyvana. Gonna be able to hit over the flash going over the wall, and it's just not worth blowing any flashes there. You know that Nautilus can't snap engage anymore with it, but OSU taking a bit of time with their fights, because when you have Zeri, Rakan, Shyvana, Poppy, and Aurora kind of like fits into that meta, you really want to front to back this, right? You can find a nice Rakan
looks like
engage.
They realize their Zeri's alone, and Zeri's getting ulted by J4. The quickness trying to come in and give a little bit of assistance where assistance is needed, but Caitlyn is going to be taking him down in the return for that. Aurora ult coming on in, locking down both the carries. Absolutely huge. The stun does come out though, and Aurora might be able to get away from this, at least splitting the fight a little bit away. In the meantime, things are popping off in the bot lane. Poppy is going to be doing a little bit of a trade spree, but Yeah, it looks like it's just going to be a 1-for-2 trade at the end of the day. Ohio Northern and the unkillable Caitlyn seeming like making out like bandits again.
Yeah, you can see right there, just a bit of a misplay from Aurora, stepping back and getting stunned right there and allowing Talia to kind of walk over. It's a bit sneaky, kind of just dropping that E right there, even though you did get the pick. You kind of have to be worried about the resources you're blowing for it. As you see, we have 2 minutes up on this objective, but more importantly, Baron is up right now.
Yep, and honestly, I think that Ohio Northern are in a position where they could really consider trying to do it. Caitlyn obviously has to make a little bit of a back here, but they could just as easily go right back on over to mid. And then Talia, in the meantime, has pushed the top wave. They're in a position where they could threaten it, but they may try to go for a pick first just because if Ohio State does check it while they're doing it, it would probably be not a very good fight with the Baron damage.
Yeah, definitely. You just have to be careful. Walking around this corner now. So ONU, OSU, both grouping up now. Still going to be walking to the side. You have to be careful. OSU might just elect to start this up, right? You still have a bit of a lead, right? But you see two top,
They see
excuse
two
me,
bot.
you see two bot side. Yeah, there's a couple of pings, and now they're immediately going to walk up and try and take this fight. Kato has to rotate back to this top side as they're just hitting the Baron now. There's a quick engage from Rakan as well. Aurora pops in, the Weaver's Wall comes around the corner, but it's a huge CC chain coming in from J4. J4 hits one, but Red Side's going to be able to take 2 kills there. Kato trades it. It's still even. The snipe from Caitlyn's not going to hit, but goes really, really low for Shyvana. Shyvana gets the slow, and Zeri's in a really bad spot. You're trying to just delay time so you can E over this wall, but it looks like that won't happen. Just try to take as much as you can, play with the Caitlyn walk in this bush, but it's going to be a bit over. Caitlyn finishing off that shot, and that's going to be a 3-for-2 trade for the side of ONU.
Bro, that Caitlyn damage, did you see it? That one headshot damn near one-shotted Rakan. It's because she's got that IE upgrade from Orin. Absolutely insane and ridiculous. Good little buffer on that from the Talia, but still a lot of crazy damage coming out from Poppy. Gotta be respected. But yeah, this Caitlyn, she's hitting her stride, dude. She's starting to become a menace. It's looking like it might be a feast for Kai coming up real soon.
No, I think we obviously we joked about the unkillable Caitlyn earlier in this stream, but that works perfectly for what you want Caitlyn to be, right? You didn't kill her, you didn't shut her down. This is where she hits her stride, right? She's at her 3rd item spike, she's going for that BT next. But you have that RFC now to where you can pop in these fights even safer, but Nautilus immediately finding the hit on the side, and then the Talia wall back, finally with the final shot for Caitlyn. And ONU is starting to really turn this game around. They were sitting at a bit of a deficit, especially considering this Shyvana for the whole game, but now you have a first-time gold lead, I think, for like the first 15 minutes.
Caitlyn might be getting killed this time.
Yeah,
it's looking like popped. Yes, no, yes.
Oh, there it is.
Die, but at what cost? It's gonna be everybody down, basically. Poppy gonna be falling now as well. Shyvana can't do a damn thing to help her. She just has to watch as Poppy gets absolutely obliterated by Northern University. That's a free dragon and soul now for ONU.
Yeah. Like you said, at what cost? You able to Aurora ult the Caitlyn, right, and lock her down, but you step into it and you teleport into the other side, and it's a jump scare of the other 4 people in Ohio Northern right there to just follow it back up. That's going to be Soul Point going over to ONU, and that is a gold swing.
Yep. I mean, yeah. Again, Kai, whether he's doing damage with his like $1,000 damage critical headshots, or just forcing his opponents to take like multiple seconds that they could be using to damage the rest of the team and use it just chasing him around doing no damage at all. It's impactful. The impact of this Caitlyn cannot be understated, and I just want to point out the CS as well. Look at the CS gap between Kai and 5150. It's almost 100.
Yep. Yeah. There's a lot of gold going into the spot laner. The gold disparity is just so huge right now as we take a look, right? It's almost 2K, close to 3K gold lead, right? So that's kind of what you want for this Caitlyn. That's best case scenario. And now as you set up, you have a lot of prio, and they are just going to start this Baron immediately. Rakan still trying to get vision over the wall. They have to try and enter in through this right side, but Rakan's going to be on the flank from the ref. You can still look for an ult, but he is spotted on vision. They have to be really careful. Immediately the dive. Shyvana doesn't have ult now. Going to be maybe looking for the blast cone. Poppy gets hit by the Nautilus Q though. Pulled back in and flicked. Gets the knockup. Does it separate two though? It's going to be a 3v5 at the start. That's a first shutdown going to Kato. Now the second one, J4 jumps in, they flash out of the pit, Kai gets the trap and shoots down Poppy. Now you're gonna be back to a 4v4. Poppy did a really nice job with separating them, but they weren't able to capitalize too much, forcing a lot of flashes out of that Aurora ult. They are gonna stop the Baron though, which is honestly what they wanted to do. That was best case scenario for them, going 1-1 and stopping that Baron when they're down. You have to be careful, they are gonna lose that. Ooh. I like that flash from Tango right there. Diving in as well. J4 maybe going a little bit far, getting chipped out from this Aurora. Aurora still hanging on the side. Obviously don't have ult, but it's halfway up already. But looks like Shyvana just gets caught out right there by Nautilus and then walks in the shutdown going to Caitlyn. Caitlyn just chunking all these teams. Now just walking back. Aurora still stuck on the side. You have to just let Ornn kind of front tank this. Caitlyn walking up, gets the final shot. Here comes the ult. Rakan's going to stand in front. That half health Rakan, but there's nobody to contest this tower. They're just going to keep walking them down here. Poppy is back up on the field, but you don't have your jungler yet. You're still going to be taking an engage. Rakan ults on the backside, still hits the W, the jump immediately in. Rakan going down for the ignite. Ornn drops it. J4 picks up the second one. All that's left is Zeri in the backline, and that just might be game. The flick doesn't land, but the TP does to keep the tower alive, or keep the minion alive while they take it. All that's left is Zeri. You have Aurora coming back as well, having to back, but there's nothing you can do. Open Nexus, and that's going to be an open game one, explosively ended for ONU.
Just very, very well played from them, especially the Caitlyn, dude. Like, again, I cannot point this out enough times. Like, in that last fight, before the game all ended, they tried to dive the Caitlyn again, but like straight up under she just was able to get away again. Everyone just dogpiled on top of the Poppy, and they just could not touch her. Like, she was just trying to run her down, just to like be like, please, please, and she's like, nope, I'm not letting you touch me. It's just definitely a really great amount of kiting from this ADC. I think Kai's kiting is probably the best that we've seen out of pretty much any ADC in the entire center so far, to be honest.
Yeah. Kai's kiting was great, but also you have to give credit to the peel that his team ran, right? I feel like a lot of those fights, if you did jump on Caitlyn, right, and she did get out, you were punished for it. That's kind of one of the hardest things, especially when you play a comp that is very feast or famine with the ADC, is that if you're not getting anything out of the jump or you're not getting anything out of the engage, then it makes it really hard for Caitlyn to feel like she can walk up again, right? Because you know that if they target you, you're going to be able to kite it out and your team will carry the rest. But when you can't get that or you can't have that trust, it becomes a lot harder to find yourself in these fights. But I feel like ONU definitely found their grasp, found their stride, and was kicking it in gear, especially around that 20-minute mark.
Right. I mean, for the most part, in the beginning, Caitlyn had literally 0 kills. Like, she was basically Caitlyn's support with like 0-0-4, and they were still like trying to dive her. But eventually, like even when most of the damage was coming out of Talia, but eventually we got to a point where she got IE, it got upgraded by Ornn, and they tried to dive her, and she was able to get away and get a kill. And that's when things really started to get bad, because that kill led her to be able to buy her next item, and she just like completely carried away the game. I still will never forget seeing Kai almost one-shot Rakan with a headshot. It's that's just, if that's not an indicator of how ahead you are as an ADC and how impactful you are, whether you're fighting or not, that's, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I mean that's the dream for Caitlyn, right? Is you just get those really, really big crit headshots. But now I think looking at that game just overall, I think OSU played it a lot better than we've seen them play the last couple sets, right? Even though it didn't go their way game one, I feel like it was just a couple of fights you needed to clean up, right? You played the lanes well, you still got your jungle ahead, you got kind of your win cons where you wanted them to be, but a couple of missed fights, a couple of missed opportunities across the map, right? Specifically around that dragon, first one around that Baron as well, and then jumping on the Caitlyn. Those kind of missed fights and not, or excuse me, overestimating your damage is definitely the downfall of him.
Yeah, I think so too. So taking things going into the next game because this is a best of three. So
Yep.
let's. So is there anything that you would change from well, not just their playstyle? We know what we would change. Just don't put too much emphasis on trying to dive this Caitlyn, especially when she's got like 0 kills and things like that. And you can try and focus on someone like Talia in that scenario before Caitlyn is super duper mega fed. But what would you change about their drafts going into the draft?
I think I was pretty happy with their draft, being honest. I think that you could opt for a little bit more damage. A two threat comp with Shyvana always obviously like isn't a two threat, that's a three threat. But when the Shyvana is a lot of your gold, it becomes the issue of if she can't engage, who does? Right?
Hmm.
So I think without the Poppy, you either need to add a little bit more engage to your bot side, or you might need to just call in a bit more of the top laner to a couple of your fights. But either way, honestly, that's very like nitpicky. I think draft wise, I think you can still draft pretty much the same way you did here, but you
Mhm.
just need to calculate your damage and understand kind of where your team's win cons are a bit better.
Right. For me, I think that just seeing how strong this Caitlyn was, probably go for a ban onto that. And my thing with their draft is if they're gonna pick someone that like if they're gonna pick a team that has a lot of dashes on it, they need to be a little bit more attentive with their bans towards the people that can counter that, like Talia and like Vex, like I was mentioning. So that again, that is nitpicky in the extreme from me as well. But yeah, I think those are like the only real things I would point to is they got a little bit too bogged down by the Talia with their dashes and when they were stuck in the J4 ult. It wasn't very often that they were able to string those two things together, but when they did, it made it impossible for them to fight. Like hands down, straight up, it was literally impossible for them to do that. So yeah, that and maybe banning the Caitlyn. I those are my only things I'd say.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be getting nice and ready for this next draft, but don't go anywhere. It's going to be a really quick break, and we'll be in here with round number 2 between OSU and ONU. Welcome, welcome, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Game Arena Summoner Series in Columbus, Ohio. I am Kamika, joined by Diadem, and this is going to be ONU versus OSU in map number 2 of this losers finals. So, give us a little bit of a recap on what we saw in this last map, Diadem.
Yeah, so ONU versus OSU, both had great drafts. Both were coming at each other pretty strong, especially out the gate. But OSU took a bit of an advantage, but then had some struggles in some team fights. Had a bit of an issue trying to target priority.
Hmm.
Not enough damage to kind of finish off who they were. And ONU started winning more and more fights till eventually they just rolled them, right? And once you get to that point in the game, right, it's okay. This is why it's a 3 game series. You just go next and we see what they do. So I'm not expecting much of a draft changeup from either of these teams realistically, except for maybe OSU throwing in a Caitlyn ban here.
Yeah, I could also see them maybe not wanting to fight the J4 and Talia combination again, and
Mhm.
maybe like getting rid of
Yeah,
one of them, like they just did.
just straightforward.
And so, yeah, Talia without the J4 is still a problem if they decide to go for a very dash oriented comp. Like literally every single character on their team had a dash that Talia could interrupt and stun them with the last time. But if they can change like just a little bit, then they'll be fine with on that count as well.
I think what's great too is that you know that ONU isn't really comfortable slamming it early because they need to see the champions, right? So you know that Talia is not like a B1, but Caitlyn is a B1 knowing that it's open. So you can wait maybe till R4, R5, depending on, excuse me, not R4, R5, ban 4 or ban 5, just to see maybe you can get it out of second rotation, especially considering what OSU wants to prio here.
Right. They're probably thinking, oh, what ADC do we want to go up against Caitlyn? And I don't think that they have any like bans and priority picks and solo lanes that they would necessarily want to go. So yeah, they're going to go for Jin, which it's okay. I think there is a little bit of a range gap, but Jin is still on a better ADC than Caitlyn in the current meta. especially if he goes with a good accompanying support pick here. Like Alistar could go with the Rel, but you could go with the Nautilus here as well, someone to like close the gap a little bit.
I would really, really like for them to go some kind of disengage support after they see what ONU wants to pick. I like the Viego early here, right? Obviously Miller, the jungler for OSU, been popping off recently in these last couple of games. Definitely high on the KP charts. So put him on a carry jungler, get him someone that can do some damage, and let him rock. And I like that.
Agreed. I think it's definitely a good thing for him to go Viego, like especially in that last game where he got so much gold on the Shyvana. I think that putting him, since he's popping off on a character like Viego, where he can just get reset upon reset upon reset and just snowball out of control even more so than Shyvana, is a good decision. But they will have to supplement that because he was a lot of their engage with someone else who is engage oriented, like say like their top laner or their support.
Yeah, and I mean, we see the Zach getting picked at ONU right here. Zach being extremely strong in meta right now, with those tank builds and kind of just the healing that you get being extremely, extremely strong. I know this our jungler loves to play a bit of Zach, right? Loves to be a Zach enjoyer, and this kind of matchup he loves. But yeah, there's the engage not only from ONU, but there's the disengage from Alistar. And you notice how quickly they locked that. They were hovering it. They knew what they wanted.
Yeah, they were ready. And it looks like that they're going to be thinking ONU might go for a little bit of a Silas drop. I mean, that is a pick that they did have a lot of success with in the last game that we casted them in, the last series before they fought OSU. And
Yep.
so, not too surprised to be seeing that. It looks like they're trying to go for a little bit more of a mid-oriented ban thing because of just how annoying and difficult the Talia was, one of the major sources of damage while Caitlyn was still trying to come online. And so, I think that these bans are definitely justified against their mid laner.
Okay. You have to be careful here. Obviously the Talia is still open.
Mm.
You have Viego and Alistar who both do get countered by Talia, right? You cannot just get your stun off with Viego. You can still ult over it, but at that point, that's a lot of your DPS, right, and a lot of your execute. But you do get rid of the Syndra, you do get rid of the Silas. So honestly, I kind of see where OSU's coming from. It's kind of hard to not get rid of it, right? So you need to just get the meta picks out the way. You're gonna R4 something safe here, like Ornn, get a tank out. It's really, really hard to counterpick Ornn because Ornn is a really big neutralizer, which allows you to get the strongest R5, which is your mid counterpick.
Very true. And let's not forget that ONU had Orin the last time and was able to upgrade Caitlyn's IE first buy and just make her
Yeah,
do an obscene amount of damage even to their
Draggy.
tanks. Well, forget what I was saying about
Hey,
that. Looks like they want Gragas instead, which is not a bad pick. They've had him before in the mid lane and in the top lane, so it's technically a flex pick as well.
yeah. We just you have to be careful. Last time they picked Gragas, they were counterpicked super hard with Akali, and it did not turn out really well for them for OSU.
Mm.
And we're getting another game two Gragas here, early pick. But I understand you're blind picking. You kind of have to slam something. You're not gonna get countered, right? So ONU picking up the Aurora, just really clean, really versatile, really nice 2v2 with Zach as well because you kind of have a really long engage range. So if Zach ever jumps in, you can follow, and that's one of the hardest and best things about Zach is that you can't jump to leave your team. So you have these really high range people where Aurora can get into the fight fast, Caitlyn has high range, Leona can dash in as well with you, and to round it all out, evading the ban from last game, we have GP for ONU.
Yeah,
I love it.
I love it too. I'm really interested to see the Gangplank come in here, and they go with the flex pick of the Yone and the Gragas, or do they decide to do that?
Go there,
They're thinking
Smolder.
about the Smolder mid, but
If you like
me
the
personally,
matchup, take it.
I think that Smolder would be better in this scenario, and clearly they think that as well. So likely it's gonna be Gragas top versus Gangplank, which is a pretty it's an okay matchup. Gragas's dashes do make it a little bit more difficult for Gangplank to hit his barrels consistently on him. And Smolder does have a bit of a decent range thing on Aurora, but does have to be at the same time careful of her high damage early on.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing you are lacking a little bit on ON or OSU's side is you do lack early damage. Which is something that ONU really isn't missing because you have Zach who does surprising amounts of damage early. You have Aurora who has 3 hit percent passive, right? And Caitlyn, who is one of the stronger early game ADCs. I think for OSU, what they really have to be worried about is Viego getting too far behind in this early game now, because OSU has a really good scaling comp because you have Jin Viego Smolder, who scales extremely strong around that 2 to 3 item range. But ONU has really, really good brawling and really good lockdown, especially
Mhm.
considering that with GP, you have a global ult, right? You could be fighting a 4v4 down, and without TP, GP throws his DPS in, right? So just got to be careful.
That is true, and Aurora can throw down her ult to force people to stay in the GP
Yeah,
area of
true.
effect. Yeah,
I didn't think
so
about
it's
that. I didn't think about that.
yeah, it's pretty nice. They do have a lot of ult synergy on this team. They've got we'll call it the Circle of Death comp because you got the circle from Zac that flies on in. You got
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Leona ult. You got Aurora's ult, which is a circle. You got Gangplank's ult, and Caitlyn puts down the traps, which are circles. So we'll call it the Circle of Death
Banger,
comp for
banger.
ONU.
Killing it. Yeah, no. I like that. I like that. But the Circle of Death comp definitely works with chokes really well, right? Works with getting to these objectives pretty quickly and kind of taking that tempo from your early game advantage. So I feel like if they want to play this game super aggressively, ONU is definitely kind of got their hands on the driver wheel, right? They're ready to go. They can kind of take this game how they want. OSU, once you get past that kind of like 10-minute mark, 15-minute mark, that's when you can really, really start looking for those Viego resets. Unless obviously you get a quick opportunity, don't look to force too much. Your team scales really hard.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that OSU just has to not get suckered into too many fights, maybe even be willing to give up some of these early dragons or the first set of grubs or something like that, so that they can just make sure that Smolder is protected because he's probably not going to be able to roam too much into these fights.
Yeah.
Because yeah, Zac Aurora combo between him and Viego, obviously that's a loser. So
I
yeah,
I
that's
I would put money on Zach showing up in mid lane 50,000 times right now. Like,
me
not
too,
only is
honestly.
that not only is that just like a Zach thing, but you're facing Smolder, who needs to be put behind early, right? Because that's like the only time that you really can. So I would be surprised if Zach isn't just the second mid laner this game.
Dude, like as a mid laner, that is so true. Zac, every time I see him, I let out a little groan because I'm like,
I mean, he has
Zac,
the
bro,
freest gank.
again.
You like, especially from blue side, you jump from Raptors, and that's all it is. Like,
Bro,
it's so hard to deal with.
just 15. I'm gonna have like 5 deaths by 15 minutes. Like Zac's just gonna keep on coming to my lane. But
Yeah, no
anyways,
kidding.
ladies and gentlemen, we will see if Zac does indeed gank Smolder 15 times like he would me if I were playing this game right after this break. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Summoner's Rift. I am your host, Kawaka, and I am joined by my co host, Diadem, and this is Ohio State University versus Ohio Northern University, map number 2. In case you guys missed the first part of the series, ONU did win that first map as a result of many different factors, one of them mostly being that their Caitlyn was able to stay alive and just spiral out of control. Ohio State now is going to look to avoid that.
Definitely no. And we're seeing no more funny flash down mid lane. No more fun to be had because obviously Leona and Alistar are both champions that can't really engage off level 1. So no more pull in mid flash. But we hopefully should see still the same tempo, the same pace that we saw from that game coming out of both teams here because Ohio State on the brink of elimination right now.
Right. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a double elimination bracket. This is currently the losers bracket. So whoever wins this will be going on to the grand finals. Whoever loses this is going to be sent packing back to their house.
Yep. And
A
we're
little bit
seeing
of
just a couple of quick trades here. Hit the percent, get the electrocute as well in the proc, but another grasp, and it's probably going to be positive for Smolder. Smolder is one of those weird champions to where your level 1, 2, and like 3 are pretty great, and then your levels 4 to, I'd say, 15 and 16 are probably not too hot. But that's kind of just, how you want to trade. Get as many grass procs as you can, and just try and dodge this Q. Not going to be able to hit there. And overall, pretty normal clears coming out of both sides.
Yep. And this is a fight that we are really looking forward to seeing is the Gangplank versus the versus the Gragas. I was saying that Gragas, because of his dashes, would be able to dodge things a little bit more easier up against Gangplank, but before he's got those cooldown reducers, it's going to be a little bit difficult for him to do that consistently, and we see that Gangplank is already making a little bit of coins off of it.
Yep, definitely. Just stacking those Silver Serpents is definitely one of the best parts about this lane, because Gragas, right, obviously pretty low range, and if he does want to poke you with that Q, it takes a lot of mana out of him. So if you can at least trade with the W, trade with the E, keep stacking with your Silver Serpents, and take a really positive trade here, this is kind of why he wanted this Gangplank pick.
Yeah, he does a really good job of guarding the cannon there as well. Muka pretty much just taking half his health bar and half of his remaining mana just to get that cannon, and now that puts Gangplank in a really, really good position, considering that his little barrels don't take any mana. So, yeah, in this wave state as well. Oh, Caitlyn forced to use a little bit of cleansing, and oh, that's a lot of damage from the Jink Force shot. Tango might be in a little bit of trouble here, but the potion...
there it is.
Yeah, it's going to be managing to take down Caitlyn into the hands of the Alistar. Not too much gold for Jhin, but at the very least, it's going to be making Caitlyn lose a lot of wave, and it should allow Jhin to get a good back off here as a result of that.
Yeah, definitely. Alistar hit him with the classic Flash Ignite combo right there. Potion's not going to be able to heal, but both summoners coming out of Caitlyn. Still saving the summoners on the side of Jhin, but there's two flashes on the top lane as well, and the Q at the end, stacking those Silver Serpents and stacking up his first kill of the game. GP is going to take a lead here.
Yep, solid start from the Gangplank, and yeah, it's a really nice offset to what was going on down in the bot lane, because one of the things that we were talking about for Ohio Northern University last game is that one of their they had like two main carries on their team, which were Caitlyn, and there were Talia. Aurora's not as much of a hyper carry. She can snowball, but GP is a little bit of a hyper carry here as well. So the fact that he's already nice and ahead of his lane opponent, it puts him in a position where he can be that carry if Caitlyn does fall behind like she has, or if Aurora doesn't manage to snowball.
Ooh. We have a quick engage here. It looks like the tempo from that bot lane is going to start up.
That flash is ambitious.
The W's not going to be able to hit. You do get the slow from Smolder though, and that might just be enough. Puts him in Q range, puts him in Viego kill range, and that's going to be the first kill for Viego as well. OSU taking a really, really commanding start.
That's looking like a lot of the hyper carries are starting to snowball already, which is a very worrying sign for both teams. You got to kill onto Viego, and you've got to kill onto the Gangplank. It's really starting to shape up like it's going to be a battle for who can carry harder between both these guys so far. So Zach pathing towards bottom. It's looking like he's going to be leaving Gangplank on a little bit of an island because he's looking to back. But around the time that Grubs come up, I wouldn't be too shocked if he tried to get Gangplank even further ahead, especially if he keeps chunking Gragas down like this.
Yep, yeah. It was a good trade from Gragas though, just going to even it out a little bit, right? Doing a really good job to just farm, but there's the quick engage as well, jumping out to the side. The Jhin W not going to be able to hit, but the trap does. It looks like it's just going to turn into nothing, right? Half the time in bot lane, that is just what happens. Letting the full charge, and get a bump up on the tower. Turret aggro hitting, and that's going to be a solo bolo for the top laner. Gragas returning back a kill.
Well done, Gragas, punishing him for not paying attention to the wave state and overstaying and being a little bit too cocky after that first blood. And so, yeah, he's going to be able to reset the wave before he gets back. No TP on the Gangplank, and no life or hit points left for the Leona either. That is yet another kill for the bot lane and more money for the Yone. And all the while, Zach is still trying to get this dragon up. He does have smite, so Viego shouldn't be able to take it from him, but it was starting to look a little scary there for a second.
Yeah, you know what? I like this. I like this. Compared to the last couple of games, it feels like we're having to cam top, and then we cam bot, and then we cam mid for a fight, and then we cam top again, and then we cam bot again for a fight, and we're just catching everything. I'm loving it, because these games are just action-packed right now, especially considering, OSU is the scaling comp, and they have just more kills on the board right now. Miller has just been moving around really, really fast. He's about to hit 6-2. Which is around like his first really big spike because of that execute damage. So hopefully we're going to see this grub taken here, and we're going to keep this pace and keep this energy up for this whole match.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't look like Viego's going to get contested for this whatsoever, so he should be able to take this and go back to his clear. And then, honestly, after he's finished, if Gragas has the wave continuously still pushing into him, oh, and as I was talking about that, Aurora the Flash coming in, and he should be able to get away from this pretty easily. Zac coming up looking for maybe a kill on him, but Viego and Alistar are going to be hovering here as well, so Smolder not the most amount of danger. And if they do chase this into the bush, they have no vision. They got to be super careful. The stun landing from Viego. The percent health damage is going to be nice. And the wave will be delivered. No kill for Zac, and the flash will be wasted as well. Great little play there from OSU.
Yeah, I really like this now because obviously we were, me specifically also was dogging on the Smolder pick kind of earlier in that last series, but now you take it into a lane that is pretty strong because Aurora wants the sustain fight with you, right? She gets the healing, gets the percent damage. It's not exactly the strongest burst in the world, but she wants to just keep layering abilities on you, and Smolder just does that a bit better. Right, so you put Smolder in that mid lane, you give him that opportunity, and this mid laner definitely showing out with the solo kill.
Yeah, it's definitely a lane where, because of the range, Smolder can afford to go and bully her early. Aurora's damage picks up a little bit more towards like level 6 and things like that when she gets like one item, and Smolder definitely beats the living daylights out of her until she gets to that point. So Smolder is at this point just able to get free CS, free stacks, free kills, especially when Zac isn't being allowed to focus for her.
Yeah, definitely. And we're seeing here, a lot of times this Alistar has been on the front foot, but now this Leona, kind of just walking up, playing a bit safe. No need to just play anything. You do have the lead in your bot side for OSU. So no need to force anything, especially because this dragon is just nowhere close. You really want to just fight around these objectives, especially when you have a lead, right? And just try and make them lose more than they try. Excuse me, you make them lose more than they are given already. So when you have these objective plays, you have to be careful. But it looks like Zac is immediately going to go over.
Viego with the
hit. The ult comes in as well. Going to get the pull in. The Zac ult comes in. Kai is going to pick up the first kill on Alistar. Viego looks for it, but the flash away is huge, and the E return away from the flash. That's going to be another double kill for Kai, and Kai off to even a better start than we've seen before in that last game.
And while Gangplank may have had a good start, it looks like Gragas getting that return kill is starting to put him in a position where Gangplank is starting to struggle a little bit. Just a little bit, but, I mean, yeah, Gragas is in a position where he can also sort of out-sustain him with his ability rotations here as well. So Gangplank does have to be a little bit careful, especially with the ult being up for Gragas a lot faster. It's up now. And Gangplank's ult is not up for still a few more seconds, so has to be very careful with the fights he takes for the next little bit.
Yep, and I think we're just going to be seeing a couple of backs here, right? Because you have bot lane that still needs to back. Zac's going to be pathing bot so that he can match top side when this objective's coming back up. And Leona already on roam timers, but you have to be careful. You don't have your ADC here. Jhin is still walking up and will be in ult range a bit faster. Viego hanging around the corner, and they're just going to fight over this vision with this dragon coming up in a minute.
Yep, Zac just going for a full clear as, oh no, might be in a little bit of trouble here, but yeah, is going to be forced off the wave. This is exactly what Wide wants, and should be able to get clear on this vision, as Mookub is pretty much forced to fix that wave and then back. It should be a pretty okay wave state for him now, but yeah.
Yeah, I have respect for these two top laners. A lot of the times they are thrown on like tanks or just kind of have to play for their side. But finally, obviously we've seen Mookub's Gragas already today, but we get to see Wide Rum on a carry for once, right? Somebody that capable of outputting a little bit of damage here with GP. So still a bit of a supportive side with the ultimate, but definitely a lot more lane priority. Not Ornn is what I'm saying. He's not playing Ornn. But immediately the Jhin ult is popped. It looks like they're trying to engage on the spot side, trying to find the Caitlyn, but the knockup immediately. Alistar's gonna pop the ult, but the combo is too much. Zac just popping the ult. It's a bounce house in the middle, and Alistar is invited. There's another knockup. Caitlyn picks up the double. The cleanse is gonna be huge, but it's not gonna be enough for the damage to return back on the tower. Everybody gets out for the side of ONU, and OSU drops another 2 kills.
Oh, and the Caitlyn is striking again, dude, but in a different way this time. She's just outputting so much freaking damage. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is what they were trying to avoid in the first map by trying to focus her down and prevent her from really doing much of anything. And now that Caitlyn is actually being allowed to pop off by them hard focusing the Viego early on, Kai is just being able to just kill these people for free and is already at a point where he can get IE. Pretty much.
And I mean, I think if you've seen the last game, you're kind of worried now because you're freaking out a little bit as we haven't engaged in the mid. Really quick, Aurora ult going to be able to pop the W, going to just run him down. One more shot should do it. Oh, he miscalculated the damage, and there's the jump in. They're going to be able to save Alistar, trying to just save it out, but Viego is here now, trying to just get the DPS, and Leona goes back in. The flash from the Zac is going to be able to catch the Smolder on the back end. Alistar is left alone, and that's another double on another turn from ONU.
Maybe another?
And again, trying to find it. The Viego over the wall is going to save him there, but ONU is just tracking these guys down.
And ONU is just looking absolutely amazing right now. Oh, let's not forget how this game started. Ohio State. They were getting kills on the Viego, they were getting kills on the Smolder, they were getting kills onto the Jhin, and it was like 4-1 at one point in their favor. But Ohio Northern has just been able to, in part because of their gangplank, in part because of Caitlyn's just ability to not die, and Zac and Leona's great tanking for her, have been able to just keep her alive and in a position where they give her the kills onto Viego and Alistar 3 times.
Yep, I agree. It's just shifted so much for how ONU's playing. And it's a bit worrying because obviously Gangplank can run under tower here. It's probably going to try and die. Gets the flash out, but the tower is not going to be enough. Miller picks up a bit of a freebie, but I feel like I caster cursed it. Right as I was about to start talking, I'm like, oh, well, Caitlyn's ahead, you should be scared, but you have Smolder who has 1 kill in a lead priority, right? Right as I say that, Smolder gets jumped on in mid lane. So, you know what? I think for the sake of OSU's game, I gotta stop predicting these calls. I gotta stop talking about it.
Well, I mean, some of your calls have been really, really good. So, like, maybe you should make some predictions that are favoring to them, and maybe it'll come true. But, I predict that Zac is going to be ganking him, and Aurora with the follow-up. Smolder trying to get anything back, but it's bouncing time. Viego trying to come in and get some a little bit of assistance, but the follow-up from Aurora can't quite get there yet. Ult coming in from...
Ult gonna be huge. Oh, they just take another one. That's another double kill, and Aurora just slows it down. The GP ult's huge, but also Ohio State is just getting hit by every Zachy here. It's really hard to dodge these, right? Zac is finding really good angles, just trying to get out of these, but so many double, triple knockups in these fights, and half the time it feels like Ohio State is spending it ulted, but now the ult from Leona's not going to hit. Forcing Jhin, I was about to say that bouncing bullet was kind of sniping. Jhin ult comes out, not really going to be able to DPS much because he is in a danger zone, but they might be able to just walk this back now that they have numbers returning back to the field.
Yeah, we'll see. No objectives up right now. All have been gained by Ohio Northern University, except for those 3 grubs, which is good. It enabled Gragas to get control of that top side turret, which that's the one good thing they got going for them, is the fact that they were able to get that top side turret down. And now Smolder, with the bot side turret gone, is able to have a lot more opportunity to get some free farm going on here. And as we can see, he's more than halfway towards his stack goal for the execute, which at this stage of the game it's pretty decent. He's going to get to a point where he's already at the point where he's got his bounce off the back of his current Qs, which will get him even more stacks when they hit the champions. So at this point, it's going to be Smolder just spiraling out of control. I feel like he's starting to get to enough gold. He's almost got enough gold for Man Immune at this current point. So yeah, I think it's starting to be a race against the clock for Smolder.
Yeah, definitely. So now, looks like they're setting up around the side. This might be another 3v3 right here. Zac charging up the E. Here comes the Flex Flash as well. Leona finds Alistar. Zac jumping back in. Not going to be able to find anything in the backline. Jhin W missing too. Alistar just going to have to pop ult and walk back here. Overall, pretty good engage for ONU, being able to force the Alistar ult out, especially for this fight. But OSU going to call back Gragas now. There's the flash out of Caitlyn, dodging the Gragas ult. But now I mean, you're still sitting at a bit of a disadvantage. You do have no Caitlyn flash though, so if Alistar can find any kind of lockdown, it's the perfect time to try and burst her.
Yeah, it's a little bit tough though because again, Alistar has already used his ult, so a lot of their engage will be a little bit squishy. They might try to use the Rift Herald for this. We'll see. But speaking of engage,
huge Aurora ult, a
goes.
huge Zac engage. The W comes in from Smolder, but it's not enough. Zac bounces around in the back line. Greg is looking to trade one. Will find the shutdown on Caitlyn, but he will die for it in the process. The rest of OSU falling. All that's left is Miller and Alistar. Alistar starting the back now, but not going to be worth it. Leona finds a shot in the back. Double kill going to Aurora. Triple kill going to Aurora. All that's left is Jhin. Jhin jumping in, trying to space out Aurora. There's the flash as well, gonna jump in. Gets the kill though, finishes it off. So a bit of a rough fight, but it will be a 3 for 5. As GP pushes this top lane, he gets a tier 1, tier 2, and probably will get this tier 3 too.
Right, yeah, I love the fact that Gangplank was able to just do this all the while they were taking that really, really extended fight. And that's probably why Zac popped the crying, laughing emoji when Jhin was going for doing stuff like that. He's like, yeah, you killed her, but like, you guys lost your entire top side. It's like my favorite League of Legends quote, "Put your base."
It's so awesome, dude. I love, you kind of have these ideas where, oh, this fight is going really well, right? Like, we're popping off, we're going kill for kill here, and then you kind of take a step back and you realize that their top laner hasn't been in the fight the whole time, and that he's been taking your whole top side, right? So, obviously you have GP ult for that, which makes it really nice, but OSU still has a little bit to go, but that fight right there was at least a good step in the right direction for them getting back in this game.
Yeah, the thing with that as well is that not only is Gangplank now massively ahead of Gragas in terms of CS, but he also got a lot of solo gold, that $700 tier 2 turret, as well as all the gold from the tier 1 turret. He's going to be a menace. He's already got 2 full completed items, and he's getting really close to his 3rd one. If Gangplank ever decides, hey, you know what, I think I'm done split pushing and decides to show up for some of these fights, if he ever even really needs to, then it's going to be a really bad day for OSU.
There's a quick engage in the bot lane. You're seeing just the lethality kind of pop off now in this GP. He has the opportunity and he has the serrated Dirk. So that attack range is great. Oh, he roughs RFC. Okay. I like that rush. You're playing into Jhin, you're playing into Smolder, and your really only engage is either Gragas ult or it's Alistar. So you kind of need to be able to auto attack at a safer range. So rushing that RFC, I appreciate it. I was just wondering, I didn't see the items. I was just wondering if League was bugging.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good decision there from Caitlyn. She already does plenty of damage with her headshots already. So, yeah.
Oh, but Miller walking really high. I'm not going to find it. Zac just jumping in, not going to find anything. They're just going to clear one more wave and back. They're trying to sync their backs together, especially because they probably have item buy. Yeah, and just on vision again, just going to get stopped again.
Was he even on vision?
Frustrating.
I don't think he was even on vision there. I think it was just a really good shot from the Jhin.
Wait, yeah, that was just blue ward. Wait.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
hey,
it was just a really lucky shot. Stop watching
Sometimes
the stream 5150. Stop watching the stream. JK obviously is not doing that, but you know. Anyways, so it's looking like Viego is going to be coming back here and staying so that he can maybe pressure this turret because he realizes that everyone's on their back timer. But probably not even going to happen because the back timer is still very, very good for Caitlyn and Leona. So still nothing being gained there.
Yeah, definitely. Now that you have like your items kind of popped off, nice thing is Zac's itemization is really easy this game. You itemize everything that isn't magic resist, right? Like you're gonna build health, you're gonna build a bunch of armor because practically all the damage on Ohio State is armor. You're gonna get a little bit of magic damage from Smolder. Obviously the Gragas is building full AP right now, but Gragas in these fights, if he's not blowing up the backline, is really, really suffering. So you're not really going to be targeted much by him anyways, and you're going to see the pressure that you take right there. Zac jumping in, only taking a teensy bit of damage after that full combo, so going to be able to walk straight back. OSU taking their backs now, knowing that their timer, you got a minute 40 left. You have Baron coming up. And it looks like ONU's not gonna try for anything here, so this is probably your best shot. And here comes the ult. Gragas having just ult to disengage, but you still have a lot of damage.
Yeah, if I were him, I'd be trying to get very far away from this gangplank as well. It's not a fun time when you don't have your ult. You're probably not going to be able to kill this gangplank, especially when if you try to E into him, he's got his little he can orange it and just catch you out. So it's not going to be a fun time for him anymore. He's a full level down. He's like 40 CS behind. He's an item down, and so yeah, I think he's not going to be able to do too much against this gangplank.
Definitely not, but seeing here, teams kind of have to decide what they want to go for, and it looks like they're trying to just catch him out. There's a quick ult, gonna get a lot of damage on Jhin. Jhin healing back a bit from the Alistar, but you have to be careful. ONU has full control over dragons, right?
Yep.
They're going for another soul flip as the engage over the middle hits.
Kai goes down.
And Kai flashes right into the Smolder ult, and then Jhin ult popping off as well. The TP comes in mid side. You have GP in this fight. GP picks up one, still looking to run him down. Gets ulted back out, and the root is gonna hit, but he immediately cleanses it with the orange. Comes back in. Zac healing so much. That's gonna be flash out of Viego, but Wide Rum's not finished. He's gonna keep walking down. Gets the auto attack, going for a second kill, sidestepping all this CC. Gets the orange heal back, and now he's gonna walk back up on this turret. Grass proc ready to go, but only one barrel left in his inventory.
Man, dude, that Aurora ult completely and utterly changed everything. Smolder lost his ability to kite. They just could not get away, and all that gangplank damage and his ults, and yeah, that pretty much completely changed everything. And now they're going to be able to get soul off of that. It was starting to look like Ohio State was going to be looking like maybe they could do something here, but now with that, Zac can just go all around the map. Gangplank can follow up. Caitlyn's gonna be even harder to catch. So, yeah, I'm a little bit worried about that.
Yeah, we're seeing Caitlyn here just kind of spread out. Oh, the ult canceled. What happened there?
I think she
lose
did it.
Vision?
I think no, because
No, the ult
site
didn't go off. Okay, sorry. I forgot that spectator bugs a little bit and doesn't allow us to actually see the projectile. I was thinking that the ult canceled at the very end, and I was like, I don't know why that didn't work, but no. Now we're seeing Cloud Soul on the side of ONU, right, which is so huge for their team, because you're gonna see GP is just so fast in combat now. He's gonna be running and getting so many auto procs off for his passive. Zac will just stick to you, Aurora can stick to you, and Caitlyn with her range can just be super oppressive running you down. Cloud Soul is one of those where you look at it and it's like, okay, you know, move speed is whatever, but move speed is unironically one of the strongest stats in this game, as we're going to see right here, a quick engage, another kill go into the pocket of Wide Rum, and they're going to use this push to try and clear up a bit topside, get a little bit more pressure for Baron going, and hopefully make sure that OSU cannot contest them at all on this push.
Yep, looking to finish what Gangplank started. This should definitely be the cracking of an inhib if they do so desire. And a dead Viego here as well, trying to go unstoppable with the ult, but just cannot escape all that damage, all that CC. Trying to get a little bit of a turnaround here with the curtain call and the smolder. He does have the execute on it now, so maybe he could get something going on here, but they are just too fast with that Cloud Soul. Maybe even going for the re-engage here?
Oh, they're just
cheeky from Zac, and the TP from Aurora coming in here. Smolder's got to be careful. He's going to get targeted.
Oh, you're
and down
tower, Aurora.
He is
Nice
going to go
switch.
from the
Really nice ult
storm
switch.
surge.
Yeah, no, that was huge. Diving right under the tower, and then immediately stepping to the side to bounce yourself right back out. The Gragas ult's going to go a bit wide as he gets stunned in as well, and he's just going to get bursted down. And it's looking like the end of times for OSU here, as ONU completes this push down the top lane. They are going to give up on this inhibitor here, just back up, probably going to be looking for a Baron after reset, and then that's when they can really start to open this game up.
Yep, with that cracked inhib and just in the Cloud Soul, it's looking pretty bad if they do want to try and contest them for this Baron. They do have vision on it currently, just kidding. The ward just died, as I said, that to make me look stupid. And for no other reason other than that. But yeah, it's it's looking pretty good for Ohio Northern to go for the pressure here. Caitlyn just completely one-shotting every single minion in this wave, and they are all ready to go for it. Gangplank does have the TP if for some reason something does go bad, and they're getting some Caitlyn traps up in here and some vision control, seeing if anyone will be, crazy enough to face check into this bush.
Definitely. You just have so much prio, so much control that you should just start this Baron. Yeah, there we go. All right. They're just going to be starting this Baron up immediately. Should be pretty clean, right? I don't think OSU, unless they find some crazy engage, can find something to stun over the wall, but the buffer from Kato is going to be enough. So just making it impossible to try and hit this Jhin. Zach also changed it. Looks like they were looking for a turn rather than just finishing it, but Smolder doing so much damage that Execute is going to pop his passive. I think first passive pop we've had this game, but Kai trying to just keep him alive. Gragas almost one-shots it, and here comes OSU. That's the engage they were looking for over the wall, and that's going to be the Baron. I swear I'm getting deja vu. I think this happened again. The GP... Yeah, it's going to stop him from going in. It's going to slow it down, and GP is just hitting this. They did call Gragas back to return for him, but there's just a lot of damage here. And I don't think there's anything ONU can do after that with Baron going to OSU after a really, really great turn.
Yep. Oh, but yeah, it's looking like we were saying, the split push potential from Gangplank is starting to get to the point where Gragas can't exactly out-sustain his damage forever, and eventually he's going to get to the point where he's just executing him with the Collector. So, yeah, while that might be a good little turn there for OSU, they're going to still need someone to farm up the top lane, someone to push out the bot lane while they go in for this mid push.
Definitely. So now you have a lot of Baron pushing waves. I think biggest part is that Smolder obviously hit his stat quota, but you don't want to stop stacking with Smolder. Even if you don't overforce something on a tower, you just can't get caught out by Zach, right? I think this is a safe play if you allow Smolder to kind of play with the stacks.
Smolder's
you allow him
to
play on the corner, and he does get jumped on. There's the Aurora ult, and there's Zach coming on the corner, and he gets jumped on again. I keep caster jinxing it because there it is. Kind of jumping over the wall, gets the kill as well, and the rest of OSU is on the run. Kato gets another pull, gets the electrocute proc, Gragas over the wall. All that is Tango over here. There's no damage, but he still has the root. Kato looping around the corner, does get the final pull back, and the proc is going to be enough. That is 3 down for the side of OSU. All that's left is their bot lane to survive this. Kai taking this mid turret, going in from this top side as well, and with the good engage here, that might be the end of days for them. There's the Jhin ult just popping out, but the GPO right on his face is going to do so much damage. They're just swinging around the side. Widerum gets the flash out. Jhin does a surprising amount of damage, but it's not going to be enough. The orange healing him back up, and that's going to be Ohio Northern advancing to our grand finals from the losers bracket.
Man, dude. Ohio Northern definitely looking like they came to play today. Ohio, I don't know, man. I really don't know. They had a lot of really good things going for them in that early game, like that kill onto the Viego and things like that. But I think just the fact that Gangplank went so unpunished for so long in that game, and the fact that the fights just took so long when they were good fights for OSU, they took way too long, and Gangplank was able to get 3 whole turrets almost all the way towards the top lane. Was able to get all the turrets towards the bottom lane when they did that Baron fight. Like literally anytime anything good happened for OSU, Gangplank was like, yeah, but I took all your turrets. So
yeah, no, that was so huge for ONU. I was about to mention that. Like that was my main point coming out of this game, was that everything OSU got, ONU was trading for Gangplank. And then best part was Gangplank knew when to join the fights, right? That's the hardest part, is that you get all this advantage on GP, you get all this solo gold on him for him to not really join any fights, but that was not the case for ONU. They called him when they needed him, they had ults when they needed him, and he was there leading the charge and leading those fights in those last couple of moves.
yeah, and I think that was one of the major difference makers there as well. I don't really know if I can point to another major one other than that, except for in that last little bit there. I said Smolder is way too far up, and as soon as I'm thinking that and I'm saying that, he is shown to be way too far up, and he gets completely caught out and obliterated when he is literally the person that they need the most to pop off. So yeah, just a little bit of rough positioning, probably due to the stress of just like, oh, bad things are happening to us. And so yeah, those are the major things I would point to, is just what you said with the gangplank and what I said with the gangplank and the positioning errors.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously a bitter ending for OSU, at least going in this losers bracket, but a great start for ONU with the redemption going into this winners final. I'm excited to see, right? Because they showed a lot of promise in that game. There was a ton of great things that they showed off, and the best part is when you're facing this grand final, you have to face UC Pink, who has been playing cohesively and is playing decisively this whole series, right? They have not dropped a single game this series or this whole bracket in general, right? So
Yep.
Ohio Northern coming in, you got a little bit of momentum, but you are facing the Titans here. It is time to really show out. There's no more time for any of those kind of early mistakes, especially when you gave OSU that lead. You have to really start clocking it in, and you got to be ready to face this team.
Yep. I love a good Remember the Titans reference diadem.
Yep.
And
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love that
yeah,
movie. Love that movie.
love that movie. We'll see if Ohio Northern University can beat the Titans, or I don't know. I was trying to think of another sports movie reference, but I couldn't come up with any at this exact moment. But I'll get back to you on that on my sports movie reference after this break.